My name is Avery Calder, Lieutenant, United States Navy. I'm 32 and I never expected my own family to cut me loose on Christmas night. I thought coming home banged up from a deployment accident might finally earn a little grace. Instead, halfway through dinner my mother, Linda Hart, lifted her glass, stared straight through me and said, "Get out of my house, you useless one." My sister Tessa didn't hesitate. She shoved my shoulder toward the door. I hit the icy steps hard, heard the crack before I felt it. Left forearm clean break. Training kicks in when alarms start screaming. Breathe. Sis. Move. No one moved for me, not Tessa, not my brother Caleb, not anyone at that table. The door slammed, the lock turned. I wrapped my arm against my chest with my scarf, walked to the bus stop in sub-zero wind, and rode through the night to the one place that had ever felt like home, Grandma Evelyn Grant's horse ranch in rural Montana. Those 5 words didn't break me. They lit the fuse. 6 months later my phone rang at 0230. Linda's voice shook. "Save your sister's company." I tightened my grip on the phone and felt the corner of my mouth lift. This time my answer would be unforgettable. The stories about family knives in the back, and coming back stronger. Hit close to home, drop your city in the comments and hit subscribe. Now here's how we got from betrayal to payback. Growing up under Linda's roof taught me that love came with invoices. "I bought you that backpack, so ace your tests," or, "After all I sacrifice, the least you can do is scrub the kitchen." Nothing was freely given. Everything was a transaction. My father, Mark Calder, left when I was 6. My memories of him are soft. Card games before bed, a steady voice, but Linda made sure the edges hardened. "You've got his weak posture," she'd say. Always slouching through life. The constant in my childhood was Grandma Evelyn. Her ranch was my AO, clean stalls, brush coats, boiled jars for preserves, and listen to stories on the porch while the sun dropped behind the cottonwoods. "Avery," she'd say, running a curry comb in circles, "you've got a kind of resilience trouble can't crush. Hold on to it when the weather turns." I carried that with me through school and into the Navy while Linda's mood swung like a gate in the wind. Some days she played sweet. My favorite snacks, a quick question about classes, just enough to make me hope that maybe one day love wouldn't come with terms and conditions. My siblings learned Linda's system better than I ever did. Caleb could shapeshift to whatever she wanted that week. Tessa mastered flattery early. "You look so young, Mom," and Linda would light up. I was the outlier, the one who asked why, who didn't bend fast enough. So I became the problem. By 18 I knew I needed an exit. The Navy looked like a door and a purpose. The day I signed I caught a rare flicker of approval in Linda's eyes. "The service will straighten you out," she said. What she didn't say, but proved fast, was that my enlistment also opened a new revenue stream for her. At MEPS, while the petty officer walked me through pay grades I'd already decided. Set up an allotment home. $500 a month. Roof's leaking, bills are tight. Raising 3 alone is hard, Linda had said. Family backs family. I authorized the transfer. Boot camp was brutal and blessedly simple. Follow the checklist, lift your team, earn your place. Clear rules beat Linda's moving goalposts. I finished near the top. On my first deployment I kept the $500 flowing. On rare calls home Linda's tone softened. "The neighborhood loves your uniform. I show everyone your picture. My daughter serving the country." Those crumbs of pride carried me through empty mid-watches and long, quiet racks. Then the ask scaled. The roof became a garage rebuild. Then Tessa's tuition. Then Caleb got laid off, he's back home. I took extra duties, hazardous billets, bonus ops. Bumped the allotment more than once. But in person the warmth rarely matched the wire transfers. When I flew home on leave, Linda had lists taped to the fridge or couldn't get away. Still, there were flickers. My favorite cake clippings about Navy wins, a quick hug at the curb. I hoarded those like proof. If I just did more I'd finally be enough. Grandma Evelyn saw the pattern clean. On the ranch, walking fence lines, she'd say it soft so it landed. "Avery, affection shouldn't require receipts. You can't buy real care, and if you could it wouldn't be worth much." I wasn't ready to hear it. The cycle felt set. Serve harder, send more, someday it'll add up. That belief pushed me through a decade of ops, multiple tours, folded flags, and too many names etched in brass. Her response was flat. "Okay. No, I'll come get you. No, how's the leg?" Just a verbal shrug and a hang-up. By the time I limped through baggage claim, the terminal was all tinsel and carols. I called a rideshare, rode in silence, and stared out at the snow, Montana laying itself out like a runway I wasn't sure I wanted to land on. Linda's house glowed warm from the street. Inside it felt colder. Caleb opened the door like a bouncer doing me a favor. Tessa glanced up from her phone, clocked the cane, and went right back to scrolling. The dining room was already seated. Table set, ham carved, wine poured. One empty chair. At the corner, half a place setting, no napkin. "Look who finally decided to arrive," Linda said, voice sweet as a blade. "We started without you. You're strong. You can handle it." I lowered into the corner chair, pain barking in my thigh, and ran the mental checklist I've used since flight school. Breathe, scan, prioritize. Do not rise to bait. Plates moved like choreography around me. Over me. Harper, Caleb's girlfriend of 3 weeks, got seconds. I got air. "Thought you were fixing up my old room," I said evenly. Linda didn't look up. "Plans change." Harper laughed at something Tessa whispered. Caleb smirked. I kept my hands folded. When the potatoes finally reached me, the bowl was empty. I set it down without comment. Then Linda chose her moment. She lifted her glass, tilted it just enough to catch the tree lights, and locked eyes with me. "Get out of my house," she said, soft and sharp. "You're useless." 5 words. No raise in volume. No dramatics. Just a clean shot in front of her audience. I didn't move. Years in the cockpit teach you not to yank the stick the second a warning light flashes. You confirm. You commit. "Copy," I said quietly, pushing my chair back. Tessa stood first. You heard her. She planted both hands on my shoulder and shoved. The porch was a sheet of ice. My cane slid, my bad leg buckled, and I went hard. Instinct threw my arm out to catch me. The crack was bright and electric. Forearm. I knew the sound before the pain hit. The door snapped shut behind me. No one came out. I lay there long enough to count my breaths in the stars. Then I rolled, sat, and breathed through the nausea until my vision stopped strobing. 1,000. 2,000. Pain is data. Data gets managed. I got to my feet. Stairs. Cane under the armpit. 1 step at a time. There's a bus station 2 miles from Linda's place. The snow bit my face clean. The night air felt like freedom pretending to be winter. Grandma Evelyn answered on the second ring. "Say nothing, kid," she said. "Just get here." By dawn I was in her kitchen, arm splinted at the clinic, leg propped on a chair, coffee steaming, horses snorting in the cold. Evelyn didn't ask for the play-by-play. She set toast in front of me and pushed my phone back across the table. "Block them," she said. "Heal. Then decide." I did the first 2. 6 months later, after PT and paperwork and learning how to sleep without scanning for the next hit, my phone lit up at 12:13 a.m. Unknown caller. I let it go to voicemail. Then it rang again. "Linda." Her voice shook. "Avery, we need you to save Tessa's company." I looked out at the dark pasture, the fence line we'd mended in spring, the quiet barn lights. The corner of my mouth lifted. "This time," I whispered to nobody in particular, "you're going to learn what strong really looks like." The bus heater rattled like it was holding itself together out of sheer holiday spirit. I cradled my arm against my chest and watched the highway blur into white lines and pine. Every mile put more distance between me and Susan's house, and the ache in my bones started giving way to something cleaner: resolve. By dawn we rolled into the little depot 2 towns over from Margaret's ranch. The driver helped me down the steps. I hate needing help, but I took it, then stood there until I got my balance. "You got someone coming?" he asked. "I do," I said, and I meant it. Margaret's pickup groaned into the lot 20 minutes later. She didn't gasp or fuss when she saw the sling or the cane. She just put a steady hand on my shoulder, opened the passenger door, and said, "Home." We stopped at the urgent clinic first. X-rays, a fresh cast, pain meds I promised myself I'd respect. The nurse asked what happened. I gave her the short version. She looked at me like she wanted to write more in the chart than fall. I let her eyes say it for both of us. Back at the ranch, the cold smelled like hay and cedar. Horses puffed steam at the fence line, snorting as if they recognized me. Margaret set a mug of black coffee in front of me, slid my phone across the table, and nodded to it. "You do what you need to do. Then we'll make breakfast." I opened my banking app with my good hand and started the checklist. Soldier mode, not daughter mode. Cancel the monthly transfers to Susan. Remove their logins. Freeze the joint card they borrowed during the roof, garage and tuition years. New passwords on everything. Two-factor on all of it. Flag the account for any Nevada IP. Michael loved visiting Reno. Amber had a knack for weekend emergencies. Then I drafted one text sent to Susan, Michael and Amber as a group. No venom. No essays. Just orders. Clear, final. Effective immediately. I'm ending all financial support. Do not use my name, cards or accounts. Do not contact me unless it is through counsel. Victoria. I set the phone face down and ate eggs while Margaret talked about the fall due in spring. We didn't mention Christmas. We didn't have to. The silence here wasn't punishment, it was rest. Days fell into a routine that felt more like rehab than retreat. PT in the morning. Stall work I could manage one-handed in the afternoon. Ice elevation notes to myself at night. What hurt, what didn't, what got stronger. The army had taught me how to rebuild a body. Margaret taught me how to rebuild a life without apologizing for it. The first ring barrage hit on day 3. Susan's voicemails were a carousel of tones. Confused, offended, pleading. Michael sent a single line, "You're overreacting." Amber followed with a paragraph about family loyalty, and, "How could you do this at Christmas?" I saved every message. Evidence is insurance. When the calls didn't work, the stories started. A cousin DM'd me a screenshot of Susan's post calling me unstable and selfish after all we've done, with comments from neighbors who didn't know me but loved a chorus. I didn't respond. I mucked a stall with my one good arm and let the horses chew their hay like a metronome. Pain receded. Strength returned, first in moments, then in hours. I got faster on the cane, then steadier without it. I started sleeping through the night. Margaret watched me like a weathered tower operator. Quiet, alert, always there if I needed a wave off. By the end of February, I had my file compiled. Bank records, transfer receipts, texts, the clinic report from the fall. If this ever turned legal, I wouldn't show up empty-handed again. Soldier rule number 7. Hope is not a plan. Spring eased the snow off the fences. I helped Margaret mend boards, slow and stubborn, testing the leg until it stopped arguing. Some mornings we said nothing at all, just worked under the wide Montana sky until sweat replaced the last of the winter in my chest. Then June came and with it the call. I was oiling a saddle when my phone buzzed with a number I knew too well. For a second I almost let it go to voicemail. Then I answered and kept my voice flat. Victoria. Susan's breath trembled on the line. "We need your help," she said. "No hello. No how are you. Just mission creep like always. It's Amber's company. He's in trouble. Please, save it." I wiped my hand on a rag, looked out at the pasture and felt the old reflex reach for me. The one that volunteers first and thinks later. I didn't grab it. "You told me I was a burden," I said evenly. "On Christmas night." Silence. Then a brittle, "You know I didn't mean." "You meant it," I said. "And you showed me exactly where I stand in your house." A beat. Then the sound of pride swallowing. "Please." There was. The pivot. The one I'd trained myself to recognize in a firefight and at a family table. Desperation disguised as urgency. "I'm not your bank," I said. "And I'm not your shield. You'd let your sister's work die?" Susan snapped, old tone flashing back. "After everything we did for you." "You did nothing for me that didn't come with a bill," I said. "And I paid it. With interest." I let that sit until I heard her breathing even out, the way it does when someone realizes the old playbook won't work. "If Amber wants help," I added, "she can call me herself. Not for money. For terms. Real ones." "What kind of terms?" Susan whispered. "The kind that don't get renegotiated in your kitchen," I said. "The kind that come in writing." I ended the call, slid the phone into my pocket and finished the saddle. The sky over the north pasture was clear and high, the kind of blue you only get after a long winter. For the first time in years I wasn't waiting for their next move. They were waiting for mine. They'd given me a slammed door and a broken arm. That was all I needed to stand down from them for good. Word trickled back through the grapevine. Without my transfers, Susan's spending spree stalled out. No more emergency spa weekends disguised as roof repairs. The bank took the house. She moved into a cramped rental and started telling neighbors the economy had done it to her. Amber's startup, held together with my money and her wishful thinking, finally cratered. Creditors called, then they stopped calling and filed. She picked up a low-wage job and learned the alphabet of overdue notices. Michael, who'd lived off Mom's help, slipped under a tide of maxed-out cards. Credit wrecked. No loans. No decent lease. None of that was my revenge. It was gravity. Choices have weight. Out here I found mine. Mornings started with frost steaming off the paddocks and ended with tired, clean muscles. Margaret taught me the business end of a ranch. Breeding windows, feed math, sale timing. On bad weather days the leg ached, but PT and barn work made me steadier than any painkiller ever did. Patricia kept a steady line on me from base. Calls, quick check-ins, the kind of blunt care only a soldier gives. Pick the people who carry weight with you, she said. Not the ones who pile it on. So I did. My unit's discipline met Margaret's steadiness. Between them I had a real family. Blood didn't build it, consistency did. I enrolled in online AG courses with my VA benefits and opened a notebook labeled Pierce Ranch LLC. Markets. Pasture rotation. A future that had my name on it, not Susan's signature underneath. The horses gave me back a kind of trust I'd forgotten. Quiet, earned, uncomplicated. One evening we watched the sky go gold over the north field. I stood easier than I had in months, leg humming, heart calm. I'd flown halfway around the world to earn a respect my mother was never going to give. Turns out respect wasn't a medal to chase. It was a boundary to hold. Susan, Amber, and Michael took what I sent and called it love. Cutting them off wasn't payback. It was self-respect. Real love looks like Margaret waiting at the door with the porch light on. It sounds like Patricia saying, "I've got you," and meaning it. It builds you. It never invoices you. That's the lesson the army didn't teach me, but living did. Family isn't who shares your last name. It's who shows up, shuts up, and lifts. If you've had to cut ties to protect your peace, drop your story below. Tell me where you're watching from too. I want to see how far this reaches. And if this gave you strength, hit subscribe. We're just getting started.